Hello, Fermented Folks.
We have P. Jelly Clark.
All Makatsu.
We have Travis Baldry.
Today we have a really special guest, Leopoldo Gout.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am. Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show me heartburn. I was like, I loves it, I hates it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry,
this is it right here. Hello, Fermented Folks, and welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the show where we drink beer and argue with each other about the best movies, books, and shows in the genre fiction realm. Said movie, book, or show today is the film Minority Report from 2002, starring Tom Cruise of Scientology fame. And our guest today is NJ Gallegos. NJ is a bona fide doctor, ER doctor, and also a writer of medical and body horror, psychological horror. NJ, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, my friend. We are so excited to talk to you. We've had so many good conversations over the years at StokerCon, so it's exciting to be bringing your conversational energy and your just general dopeness onto the stage of Fermented Fiction with us. We really appreciate your time and your expertise here. And we're going to be getting into the minds of some once and future crimes with Minority Report today. But before we do that, we'll ground ourselves in the present by doing a round of personal updates, won't we, friends? Because we do that every damn time. This is also from the past. This is something we do in the past, something we're going to do now, something we do in the future. Travis?
Yep.
Have I overplayed this transition,
Milk
or
that.
what do you
Milk
think?
that. Milk all those
Doing
time
great.
puns for all they're worth, Clay. Good job.
Yeah.
I caught the crud. So I have been couch ridden for the past few days. Yeah. But I caught it on my school spring break, so I didn't lose any work days, which is great. I've just been binging Better Call Saul and rewatching the Dune 3 trailer for 3 days straight. So that's my life right now. Oh, and getting mad at the Academy Awards, but
That'll
become a
happen.
tradition. So yeah.
An annual tradition of
Yeah.
getting mad at the Academy
I always
Awards.
slight somebody I want, even when they do them real well, there's always something that I'm like, that was a wrong choice. But so
Yeah, there was a lot of good
Mhm.
choices this year. It was a good year for horror, so I'm excited about that. But One Battle After Another is a piece of trash, and I'll say that. That movie fucking sucks, and it was the second worst movie of the entire slate. So y'all
okay.
dumb. Jeremy, what do you think? What's going on with you, buddy?
Well, hey, when it comes to the Academy Awards, I do actually have no thoughts. The only piece of information I have about it is what you two have said just now. And earlier, when my wife said that K-pop Demon Hunters won an Oscar for Golden.
Best song.
So,
Yep. Best song. Yep.
That song is a
Let's go.
banger. Oh,
yeah,
And
that
you
song's
know,
a banger. And
Jessie
honestly,
Buckley. Jessie Buckley earned Best Actress.
well, sure.
True.
Why not? And honestly, that whole category is like, it's just the redheaded stepchild of music awards
Yeah,
basically every year. So
right.
a single banger was going to clean up no matter what. But as far as like a personal update, I feel good about updating the saga of how I fucked up my leg. So
There we
because there have been developments
Nice.
since last time. Yeah. So keen-eyed viewers will notice this strap, and keen-eyed listeners will have heard the strap. But that is attached to a wound vac,
Ooh.
which
Oh.
is So that's just attached. I was referred to a wound clinic, which I hadn't heard of before being referred to one, and they put this on me. So now I've got this 24/7.
Well, that sounds
Okay.
fun. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's a great conversation starter. I get so many props with this broken bone that I didn't get before. So that's really
Nice.
fun. Yeah.
It's good to feel seen once in a while, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
So
where I'm
what
at.
exactly is that thing? What is it doing?
So what it's doing, right? It's on my incision where they pulled out the hardware that I used as show and tell on a previous episode. Hey guys, like and
Right.
subscribe and go back and watch that. It's great.
Yeah. You can see pieces of Jeremy's insides.
Yeah.
The artificial pieces.
Yeah, mostly artificial pieces. Yeah, it's great. But what it's doing is it's helping my incision to heal because it's not healing fast enough by keeping like a constant pressure on it, and also just sucking up any fluids that are leaking out. So that's
Nice.
It allegedly heals twice as fast that way.
That's some pretty high tech shit there going on, buddy.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
all plugged into the future here. I like it.
I'm
Nice.
more machine man than man for the moment.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you have been for a while. We've had that conversation. Like
Yeah.
and subscribe and go back and hear that whole conversation. I think we had it last time, Jeremy, actually, the same episode where he showed us the bits that were taken out of him.
That's when I became less machine, but it's still more machine than man.
Indeed. Yeah. Moving on. I'm not gonna throw out the softball that I just saw on the tee there. I'm gonna move on and I'm gonna give my personal update. I got a new writing gig here in Port Angeles, which is pretty exciting. So some of you who have watched a lot of episodes may remember that I was programming the writing track for SquatchCon, which is a sci-fi fantasy horror convention here in Port Angeles, kind of based around Sasquatch, but there's a lot more to it than just Sasquatch and cryptids. And that turned out to be a really good connection with Jess Grello, who runs the Field House and Event Center here in town. And now I have some gigs continuing to write like PR and stuff like that for them. Some marketing materials, some public relations, front-facing stuff, ongoing contract work. So it's always cool when you land another like writing-based gig, especially when you're an indie author like me. You're always looking for more ways to kind of like add a revenue stream or whatever, so you can keep doing it and never have to go back to food service or anything so hellish as that ever again. So yeah, that is a good news for me on that front. Thank you to Jess, and shout out to the Field Hall and Event Center in PA. They do a lot of cool stuff. And if you happen to be from around here and you want to come to a cool convention, it's the first or the second weekend of April, SquatchCon. It's going to be really fun. We're going to be doing Fermented Fiction live on stage, and we're going to be debating the aforementioned K-pop Demon Hunters on stage with some awesome guests. Lish McBride and Kendari Blake are both going to be debating that, and Jeremy and I will be kind of moderating it and hosting the show. It'll be our first live on stage Fermented Fiction. Jeremy's also coming up with some signature themed cocktails. So if you're in the area, come out to that. Come to SquatchCon. Come hang out. That's the second Friday of April at said Field and Events Hall. It's going to be really fun. But anyway, I'm writing some more stuff for them, doing some more contract work. It's exciting. NJ, you are also exciting, and we're really excited to have you on the show. Can you tell the Fermented folks who you are, what you do, where they can find you, what you have coming out, all that exciting stuff, and maybe something cool that's happening in your life right now?
Absolutely. So I am NJ Gallegos. I am an ER doctor by day, a horror author by night. I am originally from Colorado, but for whatever reason, now I live smack dab in the middle of Tornado Alley in Illinois, so that's awesome. You don't have to worry about wildfires, you just have to worry about getting blown away, so that's always fun.
Sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if you want to come and just be deluged by cat pics and weird memes that I make, you can find me on Twitter. I'm not calling it X, fuck you Elon Musk, at
Sure.
Dr. Spooky _ER, and then Blue Sky, I'm Dr. Spooky. So find me there, please. I would like that. And I've had a rather exciting week myself. On the 14th, my novella Eat Your Heart Out was released, and it's been doing fairly well. So I pitched that as my lesbian cannibal novella. So if you're into, unhinged sapphics, medical school drama, a little light cannibalism here and there, I think that would be for you. Yeah.
Light cannibalism, casual
Light.
cannibalism.
Not a
Diet
big deal.
cannibalism, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a huge
No
deal,
sugar
yeah.
at all.
Very healthy, very lean. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that sounds awesome. I have that in my inbox. I haven't been able to read it yet, but I am excited to do so. I'm glad to hear it's doing well. What publisher is that through this time around?
It's through Black Hair Press, based
Okay.
out of Australia. Yeah.
Oh, nice. How did you get linked up with an Australian press, just out of curiosity? If that's something you even want to talk about, but that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, so they actually did my first novella, Just Desserts, which was a couple years ago. So they picked that up, and I just it was like a cold, pitch. Like I sent my synopsis and whatnot in, and they were like, "Yeah, all right, let's go."
Nice.
So I did the same thing again, where they have it where you don't put your name and everything in the submission, so they can be more fair. And they were like, "This bitch, we like this." Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, hell yeah, they made the right choice. NJ, I love your writing, and it comes from a very informed place. It's cool to read that crossover of horror and real life style medical horror from the perspective of someone who knows the world inside and out. So that's always cool. If you're a fan of realism like I am, I definitely recommend The Fatal Mind by NJ. It's a really good book. I had a great time with that one. So yeah. NJ, we're so glad to have you on the show. And we are going to talk about some other crazy mind-melting type shit, like the concept of stopping crimes before they happen. Even arresting the people who are about to commit them, which is a wild-ass idea. And that wild-ass idea is explored in some depth by Tom Cruise and Colin Farrell and a whole bunch of other awesome actors in The Minority Report back in 2002. Now, if you haven't seen this before and you just heard that synopsis and you're like, wow, that sounds like something I want to go watch without spoilers, you should leave and do that now, because we're going to spoil the shit out of it throughout the course of the rest of the show. If you don't care about that, stick around. We're about to debate this thing. But yeah, that's The Minority Report in a nutshell. We live in a futuristic sci-fi world where there are three, it's kind of a crossover of sci-fi and fantasy. We live in a world where there are three oracles. They live in this sensory deprivation pool, and they can see the future, and they are tapped into by all these computers and cables, and they see murders before they happen. And then we have our crackpot team of future detectives who put together all the pieces of the vision to try to determine where the murder is going to happen, when it's going to happen, and stop it before it does, and arrest the perpetrators. And, this world, it's doing all right. There's a lot less murder, at least a lot less premeditated murder. At least that is what we are led to believe. But of course, this is a Tom Cruise movie. So eventually people are going to try to kill Tom Cruise for one reason or another, and they're going to have to accept the consequences of those actions.
And he's going to run away.
He's going to run so good.
He's going to run real fast. He's going to climb stuff.
Form.
He's going to jump off of stuff. So if you're into all that Tom Cruise foolery, then this is the movie for you.
Perfect.
In the meantime, you're here, so we assume this is also the show for you. Let's get to the debate section. The way this works, we're going to roll 2 D20s. High roll, we'll defend Minority Report. Low roll, we'll attack it, regardless of what they actually think. This is going to be a 10-minute debate split between both contestants evenly, or so, evenly-ish, however it pans out. And afterwards, we're going to talk about what we really think. But first, let's do this dice roll. Travis is going to be rolling for NJ with our special guest dice that is high probability, high risk, high reward. More nat 20s, more nat 1s, but less shit in the middle, less bullshit. Let's see what happens.
Oof.
You blow on the do not blow on the dice. Damn it. Come on.
I didn't. I'm sorry, NJ.
Don't you steal my oof.
What you get? What's your oof?
I got a 4.
I got a 2. So
Ooh.
sorry, NJ.
Take that, world.
That's a couple oofs, all right. Not nearly as competitive as our rolls last week, where we
No, that
had
was
2
insane.
ties,
2 ties.
in a row. That was crazy. Yeah, and that
All
Cassidy
right.
brought the heat.
NJ, Jeremy, are you ready to debate the Minority Report? Once again, this is a 10-minute timer for both of you, so please no filibustering. Have a clean fight or not. We don't really care on here. You know, you can hit below the belt if you want. Jeremy, you're gonna bring us in with the positive. I'm gonna start this timer in 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, welcome everyone to this, dare I say, masterpiece of a sci-fi mystery film. It's so lovely to revisit this film that I only saw as a child and basically did not pay attention to at the time. But pleasantly surprised going back into it that it is just solidly developed, well-written mystery that is plausible and makes sense within the world that they've presented, and it just holds up even 2+ decades later. And not just the story. You have great character work on the part of Tom Cruise and Colin Farrell and the rest of the cast, which is just kind of fantastic. And it all everything kind of works together in this sort of nearly noir thing that feels admittedly a bit weird coming out of DreamWorks, in hindsight. That feels weird, but other than that, solid movie. Definitely recommend. But what do you think?
Oh, what do I think? Well,
What indeed?
this movie is a frightening dystopian nightmare. The world is terrifying and horrible. They're mining your data constantly. Anytime you walk by something, they're beaming into your retinas and selling you stuff, which is even worse than what Facebook's doing when you think about something now. And supposedly they even know what you're going to do before you even do it with murder. I don't know. Talk about Big Brother, but to the max. And let's talk about the precogs. That is very unethical to use these people, because first off, they're taken from their families. And sure, their families might be heroin addicts, which I assume is future heroin, but still, come on. They're experimented on, and if they survive to fruition, then they're just plopped in this, milky soup where they just are peeing in the pool constantly. Ugh, having some guy brush your teeth, gross. And they are just constantly reliving these gruesome murders and being forced to produce information regarding all these crimes. Did they consent? I highly doubt that. And then, you have to add in that the whole system is predicated and founded on a murder. So, the Lamar, which I found was a very weird name for a British kind of guy, Lamar. I don't know.
Felt weird. He carried it off, I think. Yeah.
I don't know.
It well.
I don't know. Yeah, sure. It was weird to me, and it was just a douche move. And then I have a few other gripes. Why do we have to have a 2-hour and 25-minute movie? What happened to the time when movies were an hour and a half? It was just boom, simple, we're done, boom. I find it exhausting. And the other biggest complaint I have about this movie is, why isn't future glass more durable? They're breaking glass constantly. Really? You haven't made better glass? Come on.
Well, look, and we can dance around the issue all day. I think, fair trade-off. Abuse 3 orphans for a murder rate of 0%. Yeah, okay. 0 murders in the entire time. Yeah, sure. Some of those people are innocent. We're already doing that to people today, and no one can see the future here. So, easy trade-off, in my opinion. And also, without all those murders, you don't need such durable glass because people aren't getting thrown through it quite so often in cinematic fashion.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point, but like, can't they just give the orphans some stock options or something? Like anything, give them something.
I don't know. I mean, look. You know, it's already kind of slavery, and I'm going to give everybody that point. I'm going to give the movie that point because the position of the movie is, hey, that is not okay. Eventually, the movie gets there. Eventually, Tom Cruise gets there, even, and that's something, you know. But you know, they end up going off and living their own lives, which is probably good, you know. Turns out they can see more future than just grisly murders.
How come they weren't helping with other crimes? You know, like, why just murder? Why can't you just, you know, stop the purse snatchers and stuff? I mean, like, come on. Then you'd
have to get them out of the pool. You would
true.
have to get them out of the pool. And if they're out of the pool, think of all the murders that could be done, you know?
I also just don't know how they're maintaining their muscle mass in the pool because, like, they looked, you know, the twins looked, I mean, jacked enough. I mean, you would just get so much atrophy. Are they doing physical therapy in that pool? Like, what are they doing? I want to know.
I suppose the twins at least must be. It didn't look like Agnes was at all because when she gets out of there, she can barely even walk. And Tom Cruise is just kind of hefting her around like a talking hefty bag that knows the future. Yeah,
I could use one of those. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind. I also wouldn't mind like the future cars and the crazy infrastructure where you can just kind of platform your way into somebody else's apartment by jumping from car to car. Pretty good stuff. I always love it when future cars look sick, and it's just an overall really well-designed world. Yeah.
How about how they're still in this, you know, sci-fi movie? They're still hitting us with all this brand name shit. They're like, look at this Lexus car. Isn't this nice? Don't you want to buy a Lexus? Like, come on. Just let me think. Let me pick whatever car I want. I don't want a Lexus. I ain't that fancy.
Look, if you think that the future is going to have less ads, then you are absolutely kidding yourself. Have fun living in that dream world. It sounds delightful. But here, in reality, yeah, I know that they're going to read my eyeballs and be like, you know, Jeremy, you haven't spent quite enough money here. Would you like to? We got some good stuff everywhere I go. It sounds terrible, but it also sounds true.
You know, I don't need to be reminded every time I go to the grocery store that, like, oh, hey, NJ, thanks for coming back. You bought those, you know, extra plus tampons. How are those working for you? Like, you don't need to call me out. We don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, a little much for sure. But I mean, yeah, I just think
I knew the tampons would get you. I knew it.
Would they? No. I mean, what if you've run out? What if you got them because of an emergency and, you know, back for round 2 next month? They know. Come on, they know. Okay? If we're all being very honest with ourselves. They're suggesting it. Hey, look, you never know. But anyway, back to the movie part of the movie. I think it was a super clever and creative thing to do where Lamar was hiding a murder by like planning one and then recreating it afterwards in a way that he knew would work. I thought that was a super clever way to work around the precogs and everything else in a way that makes sense for not only why he was doing it, but that he would be able to do it and get away with it. It's just very clever writing.
You know, he really should have thought about that, though, before, you know, Colin Farrell came sniffing around and he was like, do you see those waves? You see them waves? They ain't right. They ain't right. Why would you
You're
even have this
right.
guy come by? Why are you exposing your entire operation? Why are you even having this guy? Like, leave him alone. Let the
Well,
sleeping
he's-
dogs lie.
Yes, let those sleeping dogs lie at the bottom of a lake where they belong.
Finally, we agree on something.
But I mean, it also makes sense that Colin Farrell is the only person who would even be able to call that out, because he's apparently the only one with experience solving actual murders since the precogs came in. So, you know, the Fed sending him in, and it's just a wonderful way to kickstart some action, you know? And, you know, the time loop
Shut up,
convincing Tom
Jeremy.
Cruise to do...
Shut
All right,
up, Jeremy. You are done.
It's enough out of
Finito.
you.
I don't know if that's
Fine.
a word, but one of those words that means stop. I'm finished.
Boom. You
Okay.
did it.
Good
You did
debate.
it.
Good debate, Jeremy and NJ. You got some points about the movie out there, and we will definitely discuss more about what we actually think. But first, we always like to talk about what we're drinking and the fun facts that we know. So, how about we start with the drinks? Clay, I'm going to put you up in the corner there and have you start us off.
Okay. I am finally over being sick. It took me like 2 weeks, but I got there. And so today I brought a Fort George City of Dreams because I thought that was fitting. Shout out to the precogs. I'm going to pour one out for you, homies, because your life seems like terrible. And I'm sorry that you have to live that way just for the sake of the government, state, and law enforcement. But yeah, I mean... Here's to you, precogs.
For the precogs.
You're doing it for all of us.
For the precogs.
We appreciate the hell out of you.
Especially Agatha.
And yeah, Agatha, I'm sorry that you're not allowed to enjoy the good visions you have as well.
Yeah.
I hope you get to do that now that you're out the tank. Yeah, that's what I say. But,
Jeremy, what are you drinking?
Well, hey, I thought, you know, what could be more fitting for a movie starring Tom Cruise and Colin Farrell than this Tom Collins, right?
There we go.
That's a good
Nice.
mixture right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. And of course, for the precogs, we got the eye.
Ooh.
Look at that thing.
Look at that. They
Nice,
see.
Jeremy.
I see.
Very on theme.
I
I guess I forgot to say too, this is a hazy pale ale. I've brought it before, so that's why I forgot to say that. But it's a really good hazy pale ale, and I highly recommend it. Fort George is a good brewery. I've brought this one a few times because we've done a lot of movies and stuff that relate to dreams. But yeah, I had a hankering for it. I wanted a tried and true beer today because I haven't drank beer for like 2 weeks, and I wanted one I knew I liked. So
Nice.
shout out to Fort George as well.
Oh yeah.
I have water in my favorite 16-ounce size Melbourne. I love these things.
So good.
They're so small, and they fit. Because I am both sick and it is still Lent. So that's me. NJ, what are you
Go,
drinking?
bud.
I am drinking an orange creamsicle.
Nice.
Yeah, beer because I'm basic that way. I like tasty things. Actually got this from 𝘛𝘩𝘍𝘍𝘵, Wisconsin, where my in-laws live, and this brewery was it was money. Stubborn Brother Brewery.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah.
I do love me an
yeah.
orange creamsicle flavored anything.
Same.
Orange creamsicle is a great combo.
One of my favorite, not even one of my favorite working lyricists in music wrote a song called Orange Dreamsicle. And every time I see that, I just can't. Now I have Jason Isbell stuck in my head. It's a really depressing song too. So it's great.
Awesome.
So
Love that.
but that's pretty much all he writes, which says something about me. You know what else we should say something about is the Minority Report and all the fun facty facts. I have 10. There's a lot more than 10, but I want to keep it, short and sweet. So if you have more than I missed, please feel free to fill in the gaps. I just picked my favorites. Around an hour and 2 minutes, the scene where Lewis Smith, Dr. Iris Heineman, kisses Tom Cruise. That was not scripted, and his reaction is entirely genuine. He did not expect to be kissed right on the mouth.
Damn. So she just went for it. She was like,
He just
"Fuck it."
went for it, and Spielberg was like, keep it.
Yep.
For the
Gotta shoot
scene
your
where
shot, you know?
this
Yeah.
one is the most Tom Cruise fact you can get. The scene where Anderton holds his breath in the bathtub. Spielberg was going to create the air bubble rising with CGI, but Tom Cruise said, "Hell no, I can do that." How to hold his breath perfectly for that amount of time
single
and release like
bubble.
2 little air bubbles at the time that he was supposed to, because Tom Cruise, though he is probably doesn't believe in many things I do, the man takes his job very seriously. We can say that for him.
He
Little
does.
side note on this fact: there's an interview where he's with Graham Norton's show. He's sitting on the couch with, it's him and I don't remember who the actress is. I want to say it's not Nicole Kidman. Someone broke his breath holding record that he set during one of the Mission Impossibles. It was an actress broke the record. I feel so bad I forgot the name, but she like says it on Graham Norton's show, like, "Yeah, I was gunning for your record, Tom, and I beat it." And you see him like laugh, but you can see in his eye, he's like,
He's like, "You fucking."
He's like, "But can you do one singular bubble?"
Yeah.
release one bubble. Yeah, so he did that for real because he's Tom Cruise. Steven Spielberg, from the very beginning, wanted Greta, Dr. Eddie's assistant, to be singing something by ABBA. But Peter Stormare, the actor that plays Dr. Eddie, suggested that she should sing something else even more absurd. So the both actors, who were actually Swedish, chose the children's psalm Små Grodnorna or Grodorna, the Small Frogs, which is a song that's sung on Midsummer Eve parties in Sweden. So they chose like the most bonkers Swedish song they could. Janusz Kaminski is the regular cinematographer on Steven Spielberg's films. When he approached him for this film, he said he wanted to create the ugliest, dirtiest movie either of them had ever made. I think they might have succeeded. I love the like nasty aesthetic of this film. I will talk about that in my true opinion. Philip K. Dick's original short story, John Anderton is a very fat, balding man. So not Tom Cruise.
Kind of went the other way on that one.
Yep, they went the other way on that one. Little side note, extra fact of this is Philip K. Dick is the author behind some of the greatest science fiction stories turned into films ever. You have The Minority Report. You have the TV series that was highly acclaimed, The Man in the High Castle. You have Total Recall, both the original and the not as good remake. And probably his most famous, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, was turned into the Blade Runner series. So Philip K. Dick books and short stories have been, making money in the box office for a long time. The film shows technology that's not widely available at the time it came out in 2002, but now we have gesture control and eye fingerprint recognition. I'm pretty sure there is a country that made something akin to the 6 stick. They've made jetpacks. They're not super usable, but they've made them. Like a lot of the things that this movie predicted to be in 2054 actually exist now. Some of that being very terrifying, like the eye stuff. I don't know if you've been in an airport recently, but the little skip the line retina scan thing, that freaks me out. Freaks me out.
Don't love it. Don't love it.
I love it. Steven Spielberg originally only planned to produce the film and have John DeBont, who made The Haunting, direct it. But after those two worked together on The Haunting, they had a lot of differences and fights, and Spielberg booted DeBont and took over directing himself. He also cited that he wanted to work with Tom Cruise and had not yet. So originally was going to be a John DeBont film, but I'm kind of glad it's Spielberg. This surpassed Total Recall. 1990's Total Recall is the highest grossing film adaptation of Philip K. Dick's stories. It would be the second co-production between 20th Century Fox and DreamWorks Pictures in 2002. The other was Road to Perdition, starring Tom Hanks and Paul Newman. So that combo produced two, in my opinion, great movies. And then the last one is kind of like a previous one, that although this is set in the future, Spielberg made a bunch of decisions about the pace of the film that he thought the future would be like the beginning credits with the crime and all that happening is intentionally very like jarringly fast, because he believed that society was headed towards a time when everything was like fast and we wouldn't have any attention span and it would all just buzz by us in seconds. And he was kind of right. So that's also a little spooky fact there. But that's what I got. Did I miss anyone's favorite that they want to talk about?
You got my favorites, which was the Philip K. Dick facts. So
yeah,
you done did it.
Philip K. Dick, such a good author. Well, actually, I can't say that. His adaptations are great, but I've never actually read a Philip K. Dick story yet.
He's good. I've read more of his short stories and like his novelettes and a lot of the stuff that became movies, but he's definitely good. I mean, yeah, right there with Asimov and Heinlein and all the Kayla Gwynn and all the classic sci-fi authors, I would say.
Gotcha. For box office, this movie made worldwide earnings of $358 million and was a success with a budget of $102 million.
Nice. Yeah. To be technically qualified as a success in the box office, you have to double your budget. So that makes this an official success. Not the first or the last of Spielberg's career. He's pretty damn good at succeeding in the box office.
That was the other thing I was going to talk about. He's made 34 movies.
Yeah.
Which is a damn impressive career.
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking at the list today of the ones I've seen, which was quite a few. I'd say I only dislike like two. Like Spielberg is no joke. And I think sometimes people are like, oh, he's overrated. I'm like, I don't think he's really like, you look back at his career and
they're not the hottest take to be like, yeah, he's pretty good.
They're all like the same different styles, like which I really respect. He doesn't stick in one lane for too long. Like Indiana Jones, Minority Report,
Jurassic Park
are all very different films with his like, and even his like high dramas like Catch Me If You Can and The Fabelmans. Very different movies from his action sci-fi stuff. So
yeah, he's got hella range for sure.
Hella range.
Been
doing it a long time.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so this is where we get into what we actually thought of the Minority Report, as Jeremy and NJ didn't have the say over their debate position. The dice gods had that say. And because NJ had to argue against it, we always give that person the first chance to tell us what they really thought. So NJ, what did you really think of the Minority Report? Do you actually dislike this movie, or do you like this movie? How do you really feel?
I dig this movie quite a bit, actually. I've liked it. I've seen it multiple times. I haven't seen it for years, but I've probably seen it at least 5 times. And each time you pick something else new up. I think that the story was very well told. It's a solid narrative that you can follow all the way through and get, a little surprise, since Lamar, which I don't think they should have named him Lamar. I'm just saying, like, come on. Like,
it feels so weird.
It is, right? Like, it's just, I don't know. And he's British.
The
so
whitest old man you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Named
Lamar. It ain't right, but here we are. And you can just, as much as Tom Cruise might be a bit of a psychopath in real life, maybe. Yeah, he is a damn good actor. That guy can do. Yeah, he is an action-packed actor. Like that guy. I don't know if he does most of his own stunts or not, but
all of them.
Does he?
Famously,
yeah,
so.
Basically,
he like bought the production company for the last 5 Mission Impossibles because they kept telling him he couldn't, and he was like, "Okay, I'll just buy it so that you can't tell me no anymore." He's crazy.
Yeah, you should watch the behind the scenes of him doing the scene where he jumps a motorcycle off the cliff. Because you can literally see like the entire production crew is just white knuckling whatever piece of production equipment they're holding. They're just all absolutely terrified because he's literally doing all of that stuff. It's
I
crazy.
wonder, like, because does he have like disability insurance or something? Because like, I have disability insurance if, like my hand got crushed or something and I can't do my job. But like, this guy's jumping off cliffs and stuff. Like, how expensive is that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's insane.
I'm sure he can afford any insurance on the planet. But Travis has a fun theory about that Tom Cruise's real goal is to die on film. And that he's just going to continue doing his own stunts until that happens.
We can do the fermented fiction conspiracy theories here. I believe that he can't get out of Scientology, and so he's just trying to commit suicide by movie. That's my theory.
I mean, there's worse ways. There's worse ways to go.
Like he keeps trying, but he's so committed to actually making a good movie that he gets too good at the stunt and just pulls it off.
One day we're
gonna
see the headline that Tom Cruise dies and like spelunking into an active volcano.
Yeah. It's either that or he's going to die by the most inane way ever, by like choking on a vegan corn dog or something. It's going to be one of those things.
For sure.
Sorry to interrupt with that. I'm a fan of Tom Cruise performances.
I like that though. That's interesting. And you know what? I'm going to keep that in mind. So when I see it, I'll be like, Travis was fucking right.
You'll be ready.
Yep.
Yeah, I will be ready. But yeah, no, I like this movie quite a bit. I think that they really handled the future stuff very well as well. Although I am a little upset we don't have self-driving cars yet, but I mean, I feel like we're just going backwards, unfortunately. Jetpacks.
They've tried.
Yeah. Let me I like the whole idea too of how they have the precogs, they do their murder thing, and then it's like that Rube Goldberg machine. Like, why is it so intricate? Like it just has to be like a whole production too.
Oh yeah. They told the set designer like, have fun with it, and he was like, oh, I will.
Yeah.
It's very unnecessary.
Very. I appreciate the theatrics though. That was good. And as far as this movie goes with the horror element, I do think it brings it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I always really remember the eyeball transplant scene just because all of the tools that he's using, how he's being a little nefarious and kind of creepy about it. And I mean, who doesn't love having a nice eye hacked out? I do. I love it.
Love it.
Even his introduction, just like coming onto screen, like sneezing into his hand, and then
just
nasty,
wettest sneeze ever committed to film.
Oh yeah.
Sweet baby, just
And that whole spoiled food part too, like that part just lives rent free in my brain.
I have a question about that in the second half of the show.
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
But yeah, no, I enjoy. I would give it honestly probably an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
Nice. Jeremy, do you actually like this movie, or where are you at?
I really do. I really did enjoy this this movie. A lot of the time when you do kind of a sci-fi or really any type of murder mystery, a lot of them tend to fall flat if they don't clearly give you a believable motive, means, opportunity thing. And this movie had all three, which is great. Love that. It helped sell everything for me. Great performances on everybody's part. Well, I suppose mainly Tom Cruise, Lamar, who was plenty of fun. Those back alley doctors, fantastic. Wouldn't change a thing.
No notes.
And Colin Farrell, just investigating his heart out until he's dead. The thing that mainly gets me, well, there are a few things. For one thing, they have such an elaborate system of they see the future crimes, they record them, they carve blocks of wood into balls, and then laser the names of people involved into the balls instead of just printing them on paper. You can assign them a serial number. They say it's because it's a wood grain thing, so you can't fake it. How would you fake the visions though? That would be crazy. You don't have to laser blocks into balls. Even if you do need the wood grain thing, just use the block.
But
just
Jeremy, it
Wow.
looks really cool.
It does look really cool.
Yeah,
and we all know that.
It also
then
helped
you-
inspire the South Park's spoof trilogy of Family Guy with the manatees.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
we owe it that.
that's pretty good. The world is arguably a better place for it, and you wouldn't get the whole Tom Cruise explaining precognition to Colin Farrell by rolling a ball and having him catch it, because where's he going to get the ball? Can't do
Hey, I
that with a
thought
sheet of paper.
That was a pretty good display. It was a pretty good display.
Good, it's a good thing they had the balls and the curved display and the little twisty tubes the balls come out of. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's not even my main thing here. But okay. So Tom Cruise, he sees the vision of himself murdering somebody he's never seen or heard of. And that leads him on a thing. So he's just caught in a time loop where that's always going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Lamar.
Listen,
The whitest Lamar
I'm
you've
my
ever
boy
seen.
Max von Sydow. Okay, that man is
Hey, no shade on him. Plenty of shade on Lamar. But anyway, so then you get the sense from Tom Cruise's whole deal that they see the future. It's basically inevitable. That's going to happen, right? Then they see Lamar's future where he kills Tom Cruise and everybody's coming in, and then his doesn't happen for essentially no reason. Really should have shot Tom Cruise is all I'm saying.
Well,
I think it doesn't happen because Tom Cruise sort of derails it,
Well, he says, "Hey, man, you know the future, which means you have a choice." But Tom Cruise knew the future; he didn't have a choice.
I also think they
he tried to
established.
choose.
I think
He
they
tried.
They established pretty well in the rules of the film that the precogs can disagree, and so I
Yeah.
think it's very possible that two of them saw Tom Cruise getting shot, and one of them saw Lamar shooting himself, and then it's the ones that actually happen, like Agatha's vision, the minority.
And
report,
hey,
per se.
that's another thing. You have three, right? And one of them is known quantifiably to be better at seeing the future than the other two.
Yeah.
Why do you even need the other two?
Because they
Just
only work
because
triplet.
Just because one's better sometimes doesn't mean that one is the only one that's ever right.
Well,
or
right.
The
Look,
only one that can do the job.
one is right 100% of the time, and then two are right 90% of the time. Just keep the one that's right 100% of the time,
That's
and
what-
let those two losers go read books in the woods or whatever.
That's not what it says, though. It says that their visions combine only perfectly when all three are present, but they need her most because she's like the guide. The movie answers these questions, Jim.
Do they?
Yes.
Do they really? Because she seems to see murders just fine when she's plugged into that back alley, whatever experience, whatever you feel like simulation place where they got all their equipment.
That was a memory that they pulled from her past that she'd already had.
Aren't all of their visions memories after they happen?
No, they're visions.
Is time truly linear? Probably fucking
question.
not, bruh.
Is time an illusion? I would say so.
Yes. Almost certainly. I believe Philip K. Dick would say so, judging by all the writing he did on time.
Yeah.
Anyway, the main point, movie's great, go watch it.
Boom! There we go. The Dice Gods favored Jeremy today.
Yes, they did.
Barely. I did roll a 4.
They didn't try to, but they did. Much
They
like
ended
Tom
up there.
Cruise murdering that dude. Like it was gonna happen no matter what. Because NJ came in here ready to roll that high probability dice, and boy, did she ever hit that low reward situation. For me, I like this movie fine. It was pretty good. It doesn't blow my mind or anything, but it definitely was a perfectly good movie. I enjoyed it. It's better than lots of other Tom Cruise movies. It's I think Steven Spielberg does a good job. You guys have made all the points. The things I enjoyed about it are there. The theory is intriguing and fun. I agree with you, NJ. I think it's got a lot of effective like societal horror elements, especially rewatching it today is always weird, as is reading any of the sci-fi from like the 50s through the 70s. It's like weird how on point they were. Like, I don't know who they were interviewing to get their information and whatever, but they were definitely talking to people in the tech realm who were like, it's heading in this direction. And then they wrote stories about how bad that would be. And the tech dudes were like, we're going to still do it though. And now that the tech dudes are interviewing very publicly and very globally, and just Sam Altman saying we should be able to turn off your intelligence like it's water, here we go. Let's fucking ride. We live in a Philip K. Dick novel, and it's real now. So this movie's terrifying in that regard for sure. I'd be interested, Travis, like we did with iRobot, but I'm interested to know how NJ feels too about if it's harder to watch this kind of movie these days. For me, it kind of is, because it just doesn't feel as much fiction as it should. Like, we're literally trying to create autonomous AI soldiers. Like, that's actually happening. So who fucking knows? It might not be very long before we're getting arrested for future crimes. It frankly would not surprise me anymore. So that kind of stuff in this movie works really effectively. It's weird that Philip K. Dick was talking about it in the 50s, like 1954, whenever this story was released. If I had to argue against this story, if I was going to beef with it, my beef would be in the character, the main character. Like, I find it really hard to root for a guy and to root against a system when we did not see the flaws in this system from the point of view of our main character who we're supposed to root for until it involved his ass. Like, he didn't give two shits about the precogs or the very prominent, like, negative, damaging, problematic implications of this entire law enforcement system until he's like, hold up. Was that me in that fucking video? And then it was like, hold up. I'm going to have to go Tom Cruise on this whole motherfucker right now. And that's what he did, and it cost Colin Farrell his life. And that ain't fair.
Yeah.
So to me, I have a problem with that being my main character, that being my empathetic touchstone for the story. Like, he doesn't get my empathy. He's just a selfish prick. And like, he didn't really give a fuck until he was saving his own ass. And sure, does he go on to become something of a hero after the fact? Yes.
Probably by accident, yes.
Yeah. Largely by accident, largely by trying to save his own ass. And I'm not saying that, look, sometimes, yes, it takes a shock like that to break you from a system of oppression that you were formerly a part of. That happens all the time, I imagine. I'm not saying that's even unrealistic. But I do think something that annoys me in movies is when I feel like they assume I'm going to agree with them just based on like whatever the movie's viewpoint is. So like Jeremy said before, the movie's viewpoint is clearly that the precogs are bad, right? And that's good. That is what you should believe. But like, I don't really feel that I should feel that through the main character. I almost have to feel it in spite of the main character, because the main character really doesn't feel it until it affects them personally. So I guess if I was gonna beef with it, if I was gonna nitpick, that's what I would have said. But, you know, at the same time, I do think it's realistic. Like, I think a lot of the time people don't feel the need for drastic change until it affects them personally, and then they do. And that is a lot of the time how positive drastic changes do happen. That's natural. That's human. If we're content, if we're comfortable, if we're happy, if we are supported, if our hierarchy of needs is met, then we don't feel the need to change the system. And it's not until we feel shocked out of it that we do. So Tom Cruise does do the right thing at the end of the day, which makes him still a redeemable character at the end of the day. But still, you don't get my automatic buy-in. If it hadn't been a well-told story by a master storyteller like Spielberg and Philip K. Dick, then I would not have bought in by a lesser storyteller, because it did kind of piss me off. But that's me.
Does anybody else find it like a little bit weird that like Tom Cruise's like character defining backstory is that his child was taken, and then like we learned that the precogs were just sort of taken as children, and that's never
because this was
meets at
2002.
all?
And that was every main character's tragic story. Like, literally, he's doing the thing where he has like the visions of his wife. Like, I mean, they made fun of that in South Park as well when they had the shop teacher, and it's like, come to me, you know. It's like that whole flashback scene with his dead wife or whatever. Like, that's so cringingly late 90s, early 2000s. That dead wife, dead kid, it's where the whole fridging movement came from. I'm not surprised at all. Don't think it's weird. I think it's the most normal thing about the whole movie.
I just find it weird they never talk about it.
Yeah,
That's never part of his thing.
well, I think a big part
Well,
of
you're
that-
right, Jeremy. Sorry, Travis.
That's okay.
He's right, though. That goes to my same point, which is like, they don't talk about it, Jeremy, because they expect you to just automatically believe it, agree with it, which is another part of the movie that grinds my gears just a little bit. Sorry, Travis. Go ahead.
I think a big part of a lot of this is something that NJ mentioned earlier in her debate, in that this movie's already 2 hours and 27 minutes long. Like,
Yeah,
it
is.
spends a good like 45-minute chunk just wrestling with the deep philosophical roots of a Philip K. Dick story,
Mhm.
and then spends the next hour and a half trying to make a compelling action detective film that you
That's
don't
true.
turn away from and get bored with. Like, it had a lot to do, and I'm not saying, like, yes, there are definitely things that fall through the cracks, but I kind of get it, because
Mhm.
or else it would have been 3.5 hours long, which Scorsese would have done that today for like no reason. He'd been like, yeah, Netflix will take it. Whatever.
Yeah, that wouldn't have even been the director's cut.
Yeah, director's cut. but
Bergman would have made that shit 5 hours, bro.
5 hours long. So
Easily.
I do think that's part of it, is like some of those things had to fall through the cracks and hit the cutting room floor, because Spielberg was trying to balance a really deeply philosophical science fiction story and also make it an action film that like was going to be a summer blockbuster. And that's a hard knife's edge to balance on. And I think he does really well, especially a couple of those really short dialogue scenes give a pretty good, like, you know, one of my favorite subjects is in this movie that I studied in my philosophy minor and then later in theology classes is predetermination. And they give a pretty good, like, short 8-minute summary of some of the problems of predestination. Like, you can't do that very, like, that's a pretty smart script. When the ball example comes, I was like, yeah, you know, that's one way to look at it. And there's a deeper conversation to be had there, but at least they got into like those small surface level details pretty well.
Yeah, especially for, like you said, a blockbuster, like something that was, and in the early 2000s. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the like ethical implications of the precogs and like the fact that the movie clearly does want you to believe that they shouldn't be submitted to what they're submitted to, and that we do see the happy ending being that they're freed from this like use and slavery essentially. I think it has a lot of questions that you leave unanswered that you're supposed to wrestle with, and are the questions that I'm sure Philip K. Dick wanted you to wrestle with his short story. It does it in a much more surface level entertaining way than like Blade Runner. Like Blade Runner is a Philip K. Dick story even more to the core, because it's like a slow burn, hard to really enjoy if you're not a bit of a snob. And I'm a snob. I'm with all the people. Like, I love Blade Runner, but it's definitely not like the people's kind of movie. Whereas I think Minority does the same stuff, but like on that more of a pop culture level of enjoyment. And I watched this also, as Jeremy said, when I was really young, and I don't remember loving it as much as I did today because I was a kid. So I was just like, jetpacks and oh, cool, I got taken out. Whoa. So all that like registered. And then today, rewatching it, I got all of that plus actually understanding the dialogue. I was like, oh, this movie is a lot deeper than I remember.
I had the same experience. It was much better than because I remember it being like, whatever, basically. When I watched it, when I watched it younger, I was like, this is cool, but it's not as good as Indiana Jones or Jurassic Park. Like, that's when I watched it. It was like, you know what's cooler than this? Archaeology and dinosaurs. What are we fucking doing, Spielberg? Let's get back to the good shit. But yeah, I did enjoy it substantially more as an adult. And I gotta say, we're doing The Matrix next week. So I'm going to withhold my opinion fully on The Matrix. But in just the context of this story, relative to The Matrix, I think this story's pretty underrated compared to The Matrix, which is rated a certain way.
Yeah.
We'll talk about next week.
People sure have rated it.
They sure have a whole bunch of times.
My final thoughts before we go on break is I love this movie. I think it's the cast always, it just blows my mind. It's stacked. Colin Farrell's amazing. Tom Cruise is, I think, underrated because everybody like Brad Pitt sees him as a pretty face action star, and he's been in a lot more than that, and he's not given credit for it. Max von Sydow, like everyone in here is freaking Neil McDonough. I love him. He did great in Band of Brothers. But excellent cast, excellent storyline, sharp script, really good action scenes, and intentional ugliness, I think is the only word. Like, it has the J.J. Abrams like lens flare look, but I felt like it wasn't just a copycat of something. Like, it actually lends to the story, the like blue color palette and the like high saturation. I thought it was a really deliberate choice that's sometimes jarring to look at, but I love when filmmakers try something like that and it works.
Yeah, and Spielberg is such a pro that, like, you know, he's not making any choices on accident at this point in his career even. So that's definitely a very intentional choice because the movie does look dirty and I think it works really well. Yeah. Anyways. That's our quick and dirty summaries of what we all thought of the Minority Report for realsies. We are going to take our 5-minute break because everybody needs a break once in a while, including you, listeners. Thank you for being here. Thank you, NJ, for being on the show. We'll see you on the other side of this 5-minute break, and we will be doing our panel discussion. Travis is going to bring some questions, and we're all going to talk about some themes and concepts and storytelling devices and what have you involved with the Minority Report in much more depth. We'll see you on the other side in 5 minutes. NJ, go ahead and please turn off your camera, turn off your microphone. That will kick you off the screen so our cool little video can play. See y'all in 5 minutes. Goodbye. Hello, Fermented Folks. Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the first of our new season, and I believe it's season 4. The show where we drink beer and argue with each other and bring on really awesome creative guests.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit outside the box. Once upon a time, apparently, people used to sniff mummy remains, powdered mummy remains like cocaine. So I think 3 lines of powdered mummy remains, if you can get to that as well. Yeah, that'll get you right to really enjoy the movie, you know?
Dave told us all about making a mead, and I talk shit about Tom Bombadil, as I am wont to do whenever people bring up Lord of the Rings.
You would. You should.
And then that's
Everybody
exactly what he
freaking
made.
chill about Tom Bombadil, or I'll get unreasonably upset.
So, in your assessment, what did you think of the everyone kind of paired off, or at least a number of people did, romantically? How did you feel about that? Did that seem really forced and dumb to you, or?
Tom Bombadil is a merry old fellow with his bright blue jacket and his boots are yellow. Right?
It's our yellow.
Right.
Imagine discovering mummy remains and oh my God, these ancient figures. Dude, what if we crushed this and snorted it, yo? I bet we'd get fucked up.
Let's talk for a moment about the fucking all-star cast in this movie. We have Ewan McGregor slaughtering it the entire time, main character energy, top to bottom. You can't argue with it. Women want him, men want him, everybody wants Ewan McGregor. Okay? If you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself.
Apparently she had a backstory, but they cut it because she's very hard-nosed at the beginning. And then I will say another pro of this movie is their chemistry is hot. And I feel if they didn't have that chemistry, I would have been ugh. Because she says at one point, she's oh, it's the apocalypse. What are we going to do? Fuck. And he's and then later when they are kissing, if they didn't have chemistry and if it was 2 lesser actors, I think it would have been an eye roll, felt cheesy, but you feel their bond.
The Langoliers themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets. And I think maybe they should have. Maybe they should have.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's no maybe about that.
And I wish that I could say that there was something greater happening here than the war diary of a broken man living as sort of this White Tower academic with all of his friends sitting inside the Eagle and Child drinking beer and pretending Magic Lion Jesus isn't really silly. Because, it is. If we can just all be very honest with each other.
The Lord's work out there. Good job.
I like to think that I am. Most people aren't big enough, but I am. I'm willing to settle up, you know?
Yeah. Dedicate that time.
Settle
You're willing to dedicate that time.
The time, the money, all of it.
That was so painful. It's one of those painful things.
Oh, that was so good.
life.
That was so good. We've never been so savagely attacked by any author on their show. It's incredible.
See that over there? We're going to keep doing this. You're going to like, you're going to comment, you're going to subscribe. You're going to join our Patreon. All those things. Please. Please. Please do it. Please.
You want to.
Let's get in there and do it. Come on, guys.
Just get in there.
What are you waiting for?
Just do all 3 of those motherfuckers.
We do it.
Yeah. All right.
All right, listeners.
Let's do it, Travis.
Forgive me if you hear the sound of a cough drop in my mouth, but I do not.
I'll never forgive you.
Up a lung while I ask NJ questions, and the rest of us, Clay and Jeremy, also.
Ooh,
I want to jump in with a question to you, NJ, first. I want to talk about red herrings because this has one of my favorite red herrings I've seen in quite some time, and I like that as a plot device. The red herring being the Minority Report isn't actually a thing, that his Minority Report doesn't exist the whole time. It's just that he's going to kill the guy. So they're chasing something that doesn't exist, and that works really well in mystery especially, but I think it can work well in horror and in just any kind of genres, things of leading your audience down a certain path, but then kind of bait and switching them into something else entirely. Have you ever done that? If not, just is it something that you think, how do you think you would go about it if you haven't? And is there any examples you can think of really good red herrings that got you?
Looking back at my works, I don't necessarily think that I've planted any red herrings, and partially that is because I am an absolutely terrible outliner. I don't believe in such things. Like, I'm just like, I have a general idea, I go, and whatever happens, and it is like out of my hands. So I think I would have to probably get, highlighters, a binder, and really think things through, which is just very the antithesis of me.
Nonsense.
I don't do that. I am a pantser. I have been the person that takes my papers and just shoves them in my backpack like a psychopath because I do not plan ahead.
Nice.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Nice. That works.
Yeah.
As long as it works for you. Are there any favorites that you can think of though? Also, quick note for anyone who doesn't know, the term red herring comes from the 17th century. It was a smoked, very smelly fish that they put on a hook to train bloodhounds. So that's where we get the red herring.
Get you sniffing the wrong way.
Yeah, sniffing the wrong way.
I see.
I can't think of any specific ones, but I will say one author that is incredibly good at doing that, and I think she's almost like a modern day like Agatha Christie, would be Frida McFadden, because I read her books and I think I have it nailed. I'm like, oh, she didn't trick me. I know who did this. And then I am always completely wrong, but it makes sense. So whatever she's doing, God bless you, because you're impressive.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Clay, what do you think of red herrings?
I mean, when they work, they're great. I've used them a little bit in a couple of my short stories where, I mean, it's definitely, I'm with NJ. I'm definitely a pantser as well, but I do reverse outlines. So once I have my story finished, I like to go back and try to make it weirder, try to make it scarier, try to make it darker, try to make it whatever the point of it is. I'm in my new iteration of Beneath the Rain Shadow. I'm even going to try and make a couple funny stories because I love satire. It's like my favorite genre to consume, but I always fail when I try to make it myself. So I'm going to commit to it this time and try to do some horror comedy. And we'll see how that goes. I'm working on it with a story right now, and as of now, it's late because it's really hard for me to write funny shit, even though I love to consume it and I like to think I'm a reasonably amusing human being in person. I have a hard time putting it on the page. Now, as far as examples, I think there's lots of great examples out there. I think it also depends, like, if you define it really specifically by a trope, like the way it might be used in murder mysteries is probably pretty specifically defined, and there's probably a lot of parameters. I'm not a mystery writer. I'm not really a mystery reader, so I won't pretend to know those parameters. But things that I would consider red herrings in some recent shows, I really liked that new movie by B.J. Novak called Vengeance. It's the story of a guy who he goes home. Not home. He's from New York. He goes to Texas to his ex-girlfriend's funeral. She's not really his ex-girlfriend. She's just like a girl he hooked up with a couple times, but her family is under the impression that they were extremely close. And that's because she has a really long text message chain, like communicating with him over years. And so like, it's a really, that one has a great red herring in it. Ashton Kutcher's character is just phenomenal. And he does a great job of like leading you thinking you're going to go one direction with it. And then there's a nice triple twist at the end. Like, oh, this is the twist. Oh, this is the twist. No, actually this is the twist. And you really don't know what's going to happen. So definitely recommend Vengeance by BJ Novak. He's a very good writer. He wrote for The Office. If you don't know who he is, he was one of the main writers for The Office. He also played Ryan, so that's who he is. But he's written a lot of stuff, and he's a really good writer. And this is one of his early directorial movies, so I thought it was quite good. Another example, I'm really high on No Other Choice, which was a new movie by the Travis, remind me how to pronounce his name correctly if you can, but he's the same guy who directed Old Boy. And he's a fantastic Korean director, but all his movies are fucking awesome.
Is that Bong Joon-ho?
No.
Bong Joon-ho, he made them. I'll find it.
Yeah, you'll find it. So anyway, it's that guy, and he's a great director. No Other Choice is a fucking crazy movie with a lot of twists and turns. It has several red herrings. It leads you down the wrong path many times. And the premise of that one is like a guy gets fired from his job as like a plant supervisor for a paper company, and in order to get his next job, he decides he's going to murder every other person who could possibly take his job, which is just awesome. So there's like five other dudes. He's like, these guys are all better at my job than me. I'm going to kill them all. And that one has lots of red herrings as well, like 2 or 3 of them. And then I also think Begonia. If you haven't seen Begonia, that was nominated for Best Picture, but it was really, really good. That has a great red herring right at the end where like you think, oh, this is the twist. And then no, this is the twist. No, this is the twist. I love a good triple twist. But I don't know if y'all have seen Begonia. I think we should probably do it on this show at some point. I think regardless of the twist, it's horror anyway. Like it's either an alien or a serial killer. It's one of those things. But like either way, it's a fucking it's a twisty movie. But I think the real twist in that was like the closet at the end. And I can say that without spoiling anything. Travis knows what I'm talking about. NJ, if you haven't seen Begonia, you should definitely check it out. It's fucking awesome. And I know you'll like it.
It's on my list, yeah.
It's so good. You should move it up on your list because it's really, really fucking good. And judging by reading your stuff, I think you'll really enjoy it.
Also, No Other Choice was Park Chan-wook.
Yes, Park Chan-wook. Thank you. I just am terrible at remembering names. I knew his name. It was like 3 names. And anyway, Park Chan-wook's awesome. And No Other Choice, one of my favorite movies I've watched this year. I also definitely recommend Begonia. I think it has a great red herring. I've been rambling for too long. Jeremy, do you have some answers to this question?
Well, hey, I have said so far, I love a good mystery, which means most of the time I love a good red herring, although most of the time I don't get a good red herring. Usually, when someone's setting out and trying to write a mystery, it's too obvious a thing to have like a good red herring. The story is usually just going like, oh, what if it's this guy for this reason? And I'm just sitting there like, I know it's not. You have to move on.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you get really, really good ones. Like, probably my favorite red herring of all time is from Hot Fuzz, where if you haven't seen it, just go watch it. It's wonderful and great. But, Sergeant Nicholas Angel and then everybody, they find like a real like sense-making, compelling reason why all these murders are happening. And then when they confront the big bad, it's like, no, we just want to have the best village. We want to have the best village.
We were just,
and that's why we're doing murders.
Yep,
like,
exactly.
You killed these people for no reason. Like, no, it's a greater good. A greater good. And it's perfect. I love a red herring like that because it both makes sense and it also makes sense why you would believe it to be something else. And that's really great.
My favorite of that one is when they he explains why they killed the actor. He's just like, no one should do that to Shakespeare. His whole reason for
like, you murdered him for that? It's like, well, he murdered Bill Shakespeare. And he was like, what? Oh. And that's just perfect.
Yeah,
I love
like
it,
in the
and-
menu, the whole reason John Leguizamo is on the island is because he was in a shitty movie.
It's so good.
I love that NJ mentioned Agatha Christie, because one of the books that has stuck with me like my whole life is And Then There Were None, which has one of my favorite red herrings, and one that's been like done to death now. So everyone's like, "Oh, that's not a compelling twist." It's like she did that before most people did it, and it's kill a character early, and like they didn't actually die. They like took a potion that stopped their heart, kind of thing, and then you go through the whole book and it gets down to the last two people, and you're like, well, I guess it's one of these guys, but that doesn't make any sense. And then he like comes back and is like, I died the whole time. And you're like, ah! So good.
It was I all along.
It was me the whole time. Next question I have for all y'all, starting with you, NJ, is, and you've already touched on this a little bit, I want to talk about, and I'm sure your threshold is a lot higher than mine because you work in the ER, but scenes you can't look at. And I have two things that I can't look at, that I have to like literally close my eyes. And I have a pretty high threshold for gore. I can watch like disemboweling, beheading, chopped off arms, whatever. But rotten food and small cuts. I don't know what it is about like cuts, but I like feel them when I see them, and I can't watch those. In this scene today, I was like I was hyping myself up for it. I rewatched the movie. I was like, I'm not going to close my eyes. But as soon as I saw that rotten sandwich, I was like, nope, can't do it. Not happening. So I closed my eyes until he was done eating the rotten sandwich and drinking the rotten milk. But I don't know if there's anything like that for you, and maybe talk to us about that disgusting scene in the Minority Report.
Oof. Yeah, the rotten food part is just, well, first off, why are we just leaving rotten food in there and then just putting like the good sandwich and the good milk in there?
Goddamn.
Yeah. Like, we're not animals. My God.
It's the future.
Yeah. I guess it just makes penicillin or something, and that's what he's doing. But the things I have a very hard time with, anything like related to childbirth very much freaks me out. Like those are the only two times when I was in medical school and residency I came close to fainting, was in deliveries. I can't handle it very well. Although truthfully, in large amounts, I am not a big fan of vomit, poop, lots of snot I don't like. So as a doctor, I can be like, all right, you guys deal with that. I'm going to go in here and just, chart or whatnot. So
right. Not a nurse.
The nurses, they need more money. Give them more money because my God, they are just saints on this earth. The other thing that always really grosses me out is like bone stuff, like compound fractures coming through your skin. And then like in the ER when somebody dislocates, their ankle or whatever, the feeling of your bones grinding makes me not feel very good. Yeah.
That's that
on the other
feeling,
side of that. Yeah. Doesn't feel great.
Yeah. I can imagine.
That's that feeling part. And a follow-up question for you, because I want to know if there's any like movies that have made you like seen and then actually like felt from just a scene in a film, because that's little cuts for me in everything. Like there's a scene in The Raid, which is a Korean action film, where the guy's like hiding in the walls and the villain is like stabbing a butcher knife into the wall to like catch him, and he has to stop it with his hand and it cuts his hand. Oh, that scene, I just was like, like felt it in my whole body. But I don't know, do you have anything like that you're like, you remember just being like, yeah, I feel that?
Viscerally, the one I think that probably has scarred me the most is in The Fly, the one with Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis, where she gives birth to a maggot. Like that one got me pretty bad. I truly think it is probably why I have been very pro-choice from a very young age.
You're just like, there's no reason for this to be happening.
Yeah, I'm like, absolutely not.
No maggots. Clay?
For me, I have a few of them actually. I'm something of a wuss. I can handle like big stuff. Like I can handle beheadings, or ironically, I can handle like a chopping off of a hand. Like Deanna and I are watching Game of Thrones over again. And we just watched the one last night where Jaime Lannister gets his hand cut off, which is fucking awesome. But I cannot handle, because I worked in kitchens for so long, when people chop fingers. Like anytime there's a kitchen scene and somebody's like chopping carrots and they're not paying attention, I'm like, oh god. Like just honestly, like butcher knife related, like kitchen stuff that's relatable, because I have chopped into my finger pretty good before, and every cook has. If you've cooked for any amount of time, and maybe that's why the rotten food
right
thing,
in there.
right? And that's probably why the rotten food thing doesn't bother me, because I've seen so much of it in real life that you just kind of like get used to it. But finger stuff gets me. I don't like going under fingernails. I don't like chopping off fingers, though if it's the whole hand, I guess that's fine. Like it didn't bother me watching the Jaime Lannister, because I guess that was just like so extreme and fast, and it felt like a beheading almost. But yeah, if it's like that chopping just like one finger and you know that thing's getting like taken off at the doctor's office later, like that really gets me. Don't like eye stuff. Don't like belly stuff. Like belly button stuff specifically. I watched If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You recently too, which I really liked. But there's a scene where she takes out her daughter's feeding tube by herself, and that is so fucked. And she's just like pulling it, and it's so gross. And I just like, ooh, it made me squirm. So I'm actually kind of a little bitch when it comes to stuff like that. I'm pretty squeamish. But yeah, I guess that's what it is for me. It's like eyes and fingers and belly buttons. It's pretty basic, but that's where I'm at. However, if somebody's like exploding or getting their head chopped off or something bigger like that, like blood spraying everywhere, and it's like a Tarantino movie, it doesn't feel real to me, then it's fine. I have a harder time with this stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, I know people who've chopped off their fingers. I know people who have like got a shard of metal in their eye because our dad is a dumbass and he welds without goggles on. So yeah, stuff like that, you know?
This is the man who put his cavity filling back in with Gorilla Glue.
He did. No, he totally did. It's still in there.
It's still in there.
I feel like that. Come on, you know.
That was recently.
That happened.
I mean, good for him, man. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy's a G, no question. He also pulled a knife out of his own palm.
Wow.
All those kind of things. He's done it all, and it probably has something to do with my squeamishness.
Yeah.
How about you, Jeremy?
Well, you know, like for me personally, as long as a character deserves what's happening to them, I can sit through a lot.
Sure.
Like, but you know, like stuff with teeth, I has an easier time making my skin crawl. That's why I tuned out during Bring Her Back, and I was like,
dude, the knife thing.
That was a double. That was a double for me because it was slicing and teeth.
Same butcher knife,
the knife thing,
kitchen,
and then like the biting into the
wood
countertop, and just absolutely not. Thank you, but no, thank you. But I think it goes to kind of like
reverse George Washington.
Yeah, it's like sure, a finger getting chopped off, like that's like oh my god, why? But a hand is fine. It's like there's a minimum threshold that once you're past it, you're like, oh yeah, this is just part of it. That's why, like, I wouldn't characterize something like The Monkey as being a scary film to watch, even though that would be a nightmarish world to live in.
Yes.
Because, like, if it's your time, then that time's up real hard, real fast.
Real fast.
You're just exploding into a swimming pool, and that's fine.
Or your head and entire body are getting filled with bees at a rapid pace.
Yeah, just so many bees all at once.
Most of those deaths pretty quick, ultimately.
Yeah, real quick, except for the ant who falls into fishing gear and then lights her head on fire and runs around the yard a bit before impaling her head on the for sale sign.
Takes her a minute. Takes her a minute.
Yeah.
This is a follow-up question on the same subject, and it's funny that we went to splatterpunk from the Minority Report, which is not at all splatterpunk.
No.
But that rotten glass of milk gets me every time.
That is super gross.
And I've drank that milk, so it hits even harder. Which goes to my question: do you think? Okay, where do you fall on this on this fence? And we'll start with you, NJ. When you've actually experienced something, does it get scarier on film? When you have had the experience, I think about, or does it actually get less scary? Because I'm thinking about
good question.
Boxing. Ever since I've started boxing, when I watch people get punched in the face, I don't feel the pain as much, but usually I'm just that hurts a lot more than that person showing. So yeah, I don't know. How does that affect you when, especially working in the job you work in, when you've actually experienced or seen something? Does it lower or heighten the experience of that in fiction?
I think that it probably lowers my I'm not as horrified if I've seen it in real life. And especially because you can detach yourself. You're okay, this is clearly not real. This is, CGI, this is practical effects or whatnot. So I'm psh. Or I like to nitpick. I'm it wouldn't really bleed that much.
Uh-huh.
I have to say, whenever people chop off a finger, it's actually not as spurty as it seems on TV and whatnot.
It's leaky.
Yeah.
Leaky for sure.
Yeah, so although I will say I'm not a big fan, I kind of have a phobia of the dentist just from some childhood stuff. And so if I watch things where somebody's strapped into a dentist chair, read stuff like that, it does get me because I know how those people feel.
Yeah. I would say, Travis, I love this question. I would say I don't think it makes it worse or better for me, but it does definitely make me appreciate it more when it's right. For example, one of the best examples I can think of in modern cinema is the Northman, when there's the just really brief scene after the big raid scene. So they raid this village and the Vikings do Viking stuff. They're raping, they're killing, they're burning stuff. They're doing Viking things. And then it just hard cuts to all of them just completely out of breath and bent over panting and puking, and I'm that is the most realistic portrayal of a post combat sport that I've ever seen, because nobody ever shows that,
especially high on mushrooms the whole time,
especially just blasted on psychedelics. Yes. And those people were swinging axes and having sex, consensual and not, and burning stuff and all kinds of crazy shit for 2 hours straight. You would be so dead. Travis and I were both wrestlers all through high school and college. So I can tell you, I've never been more tired in my entire life doing anything, rock climbing, surfing, hiking, backpacking, anything, than I was after a 6-minute wrestling match, because that's just full commitment, every muscle in your body, balls to the wall for 6 minutes straight. And you are literally a limp noodle afterwards. You can barely stand up. You can barely breathe. You can barely, your stomach is heaving and hurting and you want to puke, but you have nothing in you. And just that quick cut scene in the Northman, I appreciated it so much because I was I've never seen that. They never show that. You get the big fight and then afterwards the fighter's Adrian! And then, it's that moment is very common. This big triumphant moment is dude, you're too tired for that shit. There's a reason they give fighters in the UFC 2 to 3 minutes, almost the duration of a period of the match, to chill before they ask them questions with a microphone. There's a reason for that. Like they let
And
them
there's
go to their
still
corner and drink water and sit down, and then they have them come up and talk to Joe Rogan. Like they give them a few minutes because they're like, if you try to talk to them right after the fight, they are barely going to be able to talk or stand. So that's just one example. I think there's lots of good examples of that. I'd be interested, NJ, if there's any you can think of in the medical field, in movies and books. But I love when I see something, I'm like, yes, that's exactly how it actually goes. I appreciate the hell out of that.
And it helps you buy in more too. I'm thinking of, I don't know if any of you have seen the movie The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and
So good.
Very good movie. But there's a scene
Russell
where
Crowe,
he punches Russell Crowe, thank you. Punches through a window and he has like a rag around that it was supposed to do the whole like, oh, I
Yeah.
but it just like
the shit out of his hand.
and he's just like, that's a lot of blood. And he like walks over. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably how that actually would go. If you like try
Yeah.
Turns out glass can cut rags. Who knew?
Sure can. There's so many. I'm thinking of more good examples now. Like one of the best punches I've seen on camera is the when John Malkovich punches Brad Pitt in Burn After Reading. Like that's one of the most realistic punches I've ever seen. It's just like a quick, and it's like that is clearly a man who's never taken a punch getting punched by a man who has punched people before, and it's just like perfect. He's just like shocked, and he's like, "You fuck." So funny.
I think that's a good point though, Clay, and Jeremy and NJ, if you have any more to say on it, of like, I think you're right that when you have more experience, it makes you appreciate the realistic depictions even more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and like me personally, I have had so many wounds and illnesses and broken bones to the point where like, yeah, that is just what real life is like to me. So like when you show those consequences, like those, like to me, those are just the stakes of what makes sense for the world that we live in right now. And if those stakes are consistent with like the established world of whatever I'm reading, watching, whatever, that's really good. That's why I really like a lot of Jackie Chan stuff, because you will see him mid-fight throw a punch and like somebody will dodge it or deflect it and he'll punch a wall and be like, oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And then just keep going. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so good. Because yeah, that hurts like hell.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. NJ, this is making me have to ask, and I'm so sorry. I don't have to, but I'm going to. I'm compelled.
Please do.
Have you watched The Pit, and is it as good as everyone says it is?
So I have not watched it, and it's because like I don't want to come home and watch the same shit that I'm doing at my job. Like I come home and I watch trash reality TV. I want to watch rich ladies get drunk and fight with each other. That's what I want.
Love that. I love that.
You want to see pre-emergency room, not at the emergency room.
Not during or post.
Exactly. Although
Shakespearean
I've
drama
heard it's
without the
good.
rhymes.
I have to. I've heard it's accurate, and that's why I asked, because it was pertaining to this question. Another follow-up here. Are you willing to share on the show what your favorite trash TV is?
I am absolutely, well, I have a few. I have historical favorite trash TV, which is America's Next Top Model, which, as you know, it's if you've watched the documentary on Netflix, though, it was very bad. So there's that. Yeah. But I love all of the Real Housewives franchises. Like I am addicted to drama and tea, and I just love whenever somebody gives somebody else a read. It's just my favorite. It's mindless. I can turn my mind off, and it just takes me out of my everyday life. Thank God.
I love that. I am unashamedly. I will do a lot of things to socialize. Like I'm a very social person, and I was in a cohort of people that started watching The Bachelorette, and I was like, you know what?
Sure.
I got invited. There's free wine
Get in there, man.
and some crackers. I'm gonna go.
Get in
and
there.
I had one other guy there that was in the same boat of me of like, I don't want to be here, and he just kept making fun of it. And I was like, if you're gonna be here, embrace the shit out of this. So we had like a board. We were crossing out all the people that got voted off. I was like, it's gonna be this guy. It's gonna be this guy. I know it.
Yeah.
It was fun to just fully embrace the trash and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, why not? I'm here. Why not?"
Yeah, you gotta just get right in there.
Mhm.
One of mine is MTV's Teen Wolf series.
Nice.
Pretty much exclusively trash, sprinkled in occasionally fantastic performances.
Right.
It's so good bad.
We're gonna go from
I
trash
just-
TV. Oh, go ahead, Clay. Sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say I just can't do the trash reality shows, though my wife does. But I do like reality shows that I like one reality show, and it's Alone, because it's not a trash reality show. It's the only one that is actually still pretty reality. And you can tell because it's boring as shit. If you aren't super interested in the outdoors and survival, you'll hate that show, because all they do is look for food and build shelter and go home and cry about missing their families. That's the entire show. So spoiler alert, if you don't like those three things, you will hate this show, but it's fantastic because that's what survival really is. So yeah, shout out to Alone for still being real out there. I did like Love at First Sight when it first came out. Genuinely, I did, because the first couple seasons was actually pretty real. They did something different than other dating reality shows, or it's not dating, it's fucking marriage. It's legit.
Yeah.
But most reality shows, what do? They go to a fucking tropical island or a 10-star resort, and they have this dream vacation. Oh, anyone can fucking get along on a dream vacation.
On a dream vacation.
Yeah. But
Or so you would think.
Agreeable.
So you would think, NJ. But yet people still find a way to create drama out of that. Whereas the early seasons of Love at First Sight, they had to move into each other's apartments and just live their normal lives, and that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine never meeting a person, moving in with them, they move in with you, whatever it may be, with your pet and your baggage and whatever else you have happening, your messes, and then just see if it works. And I think there's one couple still from the early seasons that's still together, but yeah, not exactly the Gottman success rate out there.
No. All right. We're going to move from trash TV to the pretentious question of the week, which is going to be very, I think, Philip K. Dick and sci-fi directed. Art as thought experiment. I'd like to talk about that because I think this movie, at least the short story and definitely the movie in some parts too, was a thought experiment about how far would we go truly to say that we stopped murder, to say that we have done something to crime statistics to reduce them as low as possible.
Mm-hmm.
How far would humanity push it? One of my favorites that I've talked about on the show before is a book by Ursula K. Le Guin called The Dispossessed. That's one planet does socialism to its perfection, one planet does capitalism to its perfection, and she has the main character go between the two and see what they look like. But this is something that's been happening in sci-fi as a genre for a long time, and horror, I think, and I just love to talk about it. Do you think, and also to ask, do you think it's less common these days? I don't know contemporary literature as much as y'all. I've heard grumblings that people don't do this as much, use genre fiction as thought experiments as much as they do just as pure entertainment or kind of the fantasy exploration world building thing. Do you think it is something that is fading into the background, or is it still prevalent? Have you ever done it? All those questions around using art as thought experiment like Minority Report did.
I feel as if it is probably less common than it was, because all of the big examples that I can think of, like The Handmaid's Tale, although they did make that into a series and whatnot, I feel like were written more in the past. I don't know. You see a lot of in the splatterpunk genre, though. I feel like there is a lot of kind of social commentary and whatnot in there. but it typically is, the bad guys get what's coming to them. So it's probably a little bit more gratuitous, and it rewards the reader for these people that suck. Let me think about some examples. So I'll throw it to one of you guys.
Okay. And then I have another follow-up, as always. But Clay or Jeremy?
Well, I feel like art as thought experiment, or the inverse, which I think is probably the more likely, thought experiment as art, is something that, like, while many of these art forms were in their infancy, was probably more prevalent because more of them were available and hadn't already been explored by somebody. Like, if somebody's already written the trolley problem as a story, you then wouldn't want to just retread the same ground necessarily. So I do think they would be less common by now in that way. But then also we get stuff like Severance, which is a thought experiment that gets just 100% more messed up every level deeper you think about it, which the show does absolutely explore. So it's maybe just an availability thing, and like the difficulty with coming up with a new one rather than like people wanting to explore those kinds of topics,
Yeah, like they have to reinvent the existing tropes and like spin them on their head. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Clay?
I push back against that quite a bit, that idea that it was more in the past and that it's less now. Yeah. I think that most good stories, most very intentionally written stories, and stories with a lot of analysis behind them, whether it be social or whatever else, political. I think all those stories are thought experiments in their own right. They're different. I think that there may be less, I'll say it, I think there may be a bit less pretension in the modern literary realm than there used to be. And I think a lot of that comes with the exception of genre fiction is equally valid. I don't think you necessarily have to write like a pensive drama to win an Oscar anymore, and I don't think you should have to do that. I think you should be able to win an Oscar with Sinners or Begonia. Those are both thought experiments. Those are both like stories about a very specific theme, a very specific cultural lens, told through that lens. So yeah, maybe they're not analyzing these age-old philosophical concepts that were written down and that are like well-trodden, but they might just be taking a new lens on it. Like, I think everything Sinners explores has been explored before, but I don't think it's ever been explored quite in the same way from all those same angles, and certainly not through the horror genre. They take a lot of tropes and explore them in unique ways. We could get into that in more detail with a lot of examples, but I don't know. I push back against that. I don't think literature has gotten less prone to the thought experiment or the philosophical angle. I think it just looks different. And I think a lot of that does come from voices are coming from a lot of different places that they haven't traditionally been able to come from. And that in itself is a thought experiment, especially if you're a reader coming to a new perspective that you are unfamiliar with, and it's being told to you by the people who actually have the right to be telling that perspective. So I don't know. That's my sort of take on it.
Yeah.
Not trying to be like super neoliberal with that. It's just it's just kind of how I see it. I think it is a fallacy to present modern literature as lesser because it maybe comes at it from a different angle more than it's coming at it from a lesser angle. I don't really agree with that.
No, and I think you have a good point of like genre fiction getting, I guess, for lack of a better term, a seat at the table. Because I even think about, you look into like the history of sci-fi, and it always was kind of the more nose up in the air of the genre fiction.
Oh yeah,
people put sci-fi.
It still is.
It still is, but like
it's way up there, man.
Which is always weird to me, because you look at like I'm going to use him again, but one of the earliest examples of fantasy, Tolkien.
Mm-hmm.
The end of the Lord of the Rings is like a giant commentary on industrialization. It's not like he wasn't doing the thought experiment thing. He was just doing it in a folktale way. And yet for some reason, for so long, fantasy has been like put into this corner of like, oh, that's like fun stuff.
Right. Yeah, but like Tolkien is every bit as philosophical and theological and like thought-provoking as anything in the purely literary sphere or the sci-fi sphere. And in fact, it paves the way for a lot of genre fiction that comes thereafter, as does early horror, like Mary Shelley. Like that stuff, all like Mary Shelley, you're telling me that wasn't a thought experiment? Like it totally was, you know, like contemplating whether it was okay.
What happens if man actually had the capability to try and play God?
Yeah, exactly. What if man literally did that? And then you go forward and you see that played out in movies throughout the ages. Jurassic Park was asking the same question. The Substance was asking that question. Like there's a lot of stories that continue to do these things. So I think it's all just new voices doing it in new ways, and that's necessary for storytelling to evolve. And I think it's better, not worse.
Probably my last little tidbit, and then I'll shut up because I want to hear more from Jeremy and NJ if you have more thoughts. But that's been my biggest problem with Spielberg in his entire career. Even like the movies I don't like of him, my biggest problem is that he made Hammond a hero. And if you read the Jurassic Park novel, like Crichton's original story, like Hammond is a terrible human being. And like, I remember watching Jurassic Park as a kid and being like, oh, I love the grandpa guy that just wants dinosaurs to be alive. And then I read the book in high school and I was like, wait a second, this guy sucks.
Hammond's the worst. Hammond is the worst.
Any other thoughts on that? On thought experiments, on kind of how those have evolved in literature and any of that?
Yeah, I think Clay has a good point, because I wasn't thinking it through that lens, so I will give it to you. I concede, sir.
And I wasn't attacking you, NJ.
Nah, it's all good.
Attacking you. I have a question, since we have a few minutes left here. This kind of ties into both of those things, and I'd like to tie it back to the Minority Report a little bit, because we've been kind of wandering around in this episode, which is totally fine. But I wonder, and we asked a similar question during the iRobot episode, but on that same token of when something is more real to you, does it make it harder to consume it as fiction? How do you feel consuming these sort of futuristic stories that so closely mirror our modern circumstances? Does it make it harder for you to enjoy them? Does it make them scarier? Does it make them less scary? How does it affect your viewing experience in general? NJ, I'd like to start with you, but I find myself watching these horror sci-fi fantasy stories from the like 50s through 70s by all these iconic writers, and now that it's like literally coming true, I'm like, I wish you guys would have, I don't know, had a little more say in society. What do you think, NJ?
I think the problem is the people that need to be reading these kind of stories don't know how to read. So number one is the biggest problem. To some extent, I do have a difficult time kind of immersing myself in some of that. Like, I read, like The Handmaid's Tale, I read that in college. And I started to watch the series, and it was very difficult for me to even, get into, because of how pertinent it is to what's happening now, like women's rights being stripped from them, and they're trying to change it. So, people can't vote if they've changed their last name or, whatever. so to me, sometimes it is a little bit more difficult to watch and get some enjoyment out of it. But I think in another sense, that's probably why you should be watching and reading and thinking about these things, because the shit's real, it's happening.
Right. Otherwise, you're Tom Cruise at the beginning of the Minority Report, right? And you don't give a shit until you're in the vision.
That's right.
And
you have any thoughts on that, Trav, Jeremy? Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
Most of the time when I do find something that like feels maybe a little too true to life, especially in Minority Report with like all the crazy advertisements, whatever, being personalized directly to you while you're walking through a whatever, it's mostly just that's probably what it's gonna be. By then. And if anything, like in this movie, it just feels like a set dressing while I'm sort of grappling with, well, I'm not really grappling with it. I'm grappling with why Tom Cruise isn't grappling with the fact that like keeping 3 people basically asleep for their entire lives while they only dream of horrific murders. Like why, like I'm grappling with why he doesn't find that to be the most upsetting thing he's ever heard of.
Yeah, that's fair.
So like, if anything, those elements feel grounding in a way that just jars me out of the rest of the stuff that I have felt from the beginning of the film, in this case, is like, man, that is fucked.
It's true, because a lot of the like things we're sort of vaguely referring to regarding modern times, you're still not like directly connected to them like you are with the ads and stuff. But like for example, like if you buy cheap clothing, you could pretty much guarantee it might have been made unethically somewhere, where somebody was in unideal working circumstances, possibly a child or something, right? So like you make those like micro choices that probably ripple out and cause harm in the world somewhere down the line. If you really paid attention to all your choices, a lot of them probably do that in America, right? But you aren't looking right at that kid and still going, make my fucking shoe. Like, that's a really big difference than like Tom Cruise. He is doing that. And we're still supposed to believe he's a morally like empathetic character, which goes back to my beginning point. But Travis, do you have thoughts on this? I'm sure you do.
I have many. And the first one I'll say is, again, I think the movie does answer this, maybe not adequately, but there is the line where he like the first thing he tells Colin Farrell's character when they like go down by the people is he says, it's best not to think of them as people. And like, we get this little insight. We get this little insight into his mind of like, he's clearly pushed that into a corner of like, for the greater good of stopping crime, I'm just going to look at these 3 human beings as things that are doing this task that I think is a good task. And so I think, there's that. Not that justifies it at all. You're completely right. Like, I wish you would have seen it earlier, but I'm sure that is exactly how many of those detectives would have thought, because they seem to be good people in a sense, but like they have to do some justification that's really nasty to not respect human life. And I guess to me, I love this kind of stuff. Even the ones that I disagree with, but I think that's just because literature can be some of the best exposure to philosophy ever once you like start to look at it that way, or even film and fiction, because philosophy texts are great. Like you got to read, or it's great to read the old classic philosophy texts and the syllogisms and the logic, but a lot of the times you need this sort of like thought experiment type action to happen before you actually see the implications of all those syllogisms and logical puzzles and such. You can sit in a room and, think about a thing all day, but until you actually see it lived out in some way, it's never going to have as much impact. And fiction is the best way to do that, especially with some of the more grueling and gruesome ones, like the trolley problem. I don't want that to actually happen. But like, you show me a movie that does it, and now it's like a lot more real and impactful. So yeah, I think a lot of people, if it's a hard thing to watch for you, don't watch it. But I do think I have a particular enjoyment from these types of movies that wrestle with like scarily pertinent philosophical things, because I like to see, okay, how did this start? Where does the author say it's going? And like, how does that all happen? Do I see little nuggets of that in modern society? If so, like, how do I, as just one guy in Bozeman, Montana, like figure out ways to fight against that in my little life? Can I even do that? I weirdly love going down those rabbit holes and having conversations with people about them. But again, I'm probably strange. I do encourage, though, everybody should read more philosophy. It's hard. But even the stuff you disagree with, learn about it. That's my one little champion. Like, go read the philosophers of philosophies that you think you hate. And maybe you won't hate them as much. Maybe you'll hate them more, but at least when you have those discussions, you'll be like, I read the thing. Like, I know what the guy said. And that's much better than just watching a YouTuber talk about it and thinking you're an expert or something.
Exactly. That's why Travis watched all of Friends.
Yes.
That is why.
That's exactly why.
That's why you should also never watch this show and think you're an expert on a goddamn thing.
No, don't. We're not.
But you should read everything NJ Gallegos has written, because she does an awesome job out there with the pen and the paper. Before we get to where you can find NJ one more time and what she's got coming out, let's do our rating system here on Fermented Fiction. We have another thing that won't necessarily make you smarter or more well-informed, but it will put information in your brain. And that's our ratings for the Minority Report. The way we rate things is we tell you how many substances of your choice we think you need to enjoy it to its fullest extent. So that can be weed, mushrooms, beer, whatever. What do you need to enjoy the Minority Report to the absolute peak, just to make it the best movie it can possibly be? Travis, we'll start with you, because you have a cute dog.
Yes, Vinny has joined me for this rating. That's good. This one's gonna be real bad, real bad. So you're gonna have to get a lot of milk and White Russia and vodka, and you're just gonna pound White Russians until you're so drunk that you accidentally grab the spoiled milk, not the totally fine milk that you were using for the White Russians.
You have to spoil milk for this?
Yep. To fully enjoy this movie, you need to be in the state that Tom Cruise is in when he gets his eyes ripped out of his head and put back in. That's my hard mode. All joking aside, I'd watch this one sober, because there's a lot of really fun action scenes and big thoughts in it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there's only one clear logical answer, and I don't often go the route of only drugs, but here we are. Find your drug of choice, do it until you can see the future, and then watch this movie.
Boom.
Whatever that number is, whatever the amount, the grams, the ounces, the hits, get there.
Yes. I like that. I was thinking something along the same lines. I was thinking something in the realm of mushrooms, or if you're brave, LSD. But get yourself really ready. If you want to really prep for this movie, you could even go try like floating in some water for 15 to 20 minutes, maybe do a real deep meditation. You could even do that, pop the mushrooms, because that takes about 30 minutes. And then go ahead and lay yourself in some water. If you don't know how to float on your back, then get a life jacket and just lay there and just let the water absorb you. Let yourself absorb the water. And then come in, and right around the time the mushrooms are kicking in, kick this thing on and watch Tom Cruise piece together crime with the Rube Goldberg machine and go down a nice Philip K. Dick thought experiment path. NJ?
I love it.
I'm going to go a little bit more medical, and I'm going to say maybe a nice ketamine infusion.
Nice.
Yeah, so you're monitored. You get a little nausea medicine if you feel a little pukey with the spoiled milk part.
Sure.
It would enhance your empathy for the precogs and whatnot. It would make all of the action scenes even more badass.
Nice.
Yeah, so I would say ketamine infusion.
Ketamine infusion.
Yeah.
All right. I like that one.
I like that better than having to spoil some milk to even get started.
Dedicate the time, Jeremy. Dedicate the time.
Never.
Yeah. So there you folks, you have your options. You also have the option to support NJ further, and you certainly should. NJ, where can people do that? Where can they get your book? Where can they check out your new novella? Where can they follow you out on the internet realm? All that good stuff.
Yeah. So, you can find my book anywhere books are sold. I also have a personal site where I sell, signed copies, paintings, prints, that kind of thing. And that's njgallegos.com. Easy enough.
Nice.
And then, Twitter, I'm Dr. Spooky _ER, and Blue Sky, I'm Dr. Spooky ER, and come follow me. See pictures of my cats. They're very cute.
They are very cute. I can back that up, and we will put NJ's socials and her website and the name of her newest novella, Eat Your Heart Out, down in the show notes. So please do go check all of that great stuff out. NJ, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been an honor to have you. Thank you, Travis and Jeremy, for joining me for this discussion yet again of the Minority Report. It's been a good time as always. I've been Clay, and we'll see y'all, Fermented Folks, next week when we have Matt Rush, the writer of Lovecraft Country, on to discuss The Matrix. So we got a couple of classics coming head to head. Come join us for that. It's going to be a great time. And if you really love the show, please do go support our Patreon. Please do like, comment, subscribe, and do all that other bullshit, because this is the internet age. And if you don't show the internet that you care about us, then it won't market us to you relentlessly in the shopping mall. And we need it to do that. So go ahead, put us in your algo and fucking help us out. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see you next time. This has been Fermented Fiction.
Bye.
Adios.